Let's talk about how social media can be such a mindfuck when you are an autistic person. For those of you who may only be finding my channel now and who may not know me, my name is Irene. I was diagnosed late in my life with both ADHD and autism. On today's video, I wanted to talk a little bit about social media and kind of have a stream of consciousness about this whole entity of social media. The reason why I wanted to talk about social media is because it's been pretty prevalent in my life, and I'm sure everyone else's life, for the past decade or so. I'm a millennial, and so I have had the unique experience of growing up without social media. I feel like most of my childhood was spent off electronics. Computers weren't really a thing. Yes, there was TVs and movies, which is basically where I ingested most of my media, but I wasn't on social media. I wasn't really online doing much other than just watching anime or watching movies, things like that. This channel isn't here to slander something. A lot of the times, my philosophy isn't very polarizing. I try not to be that way. I try not to be like, this is good, this is bad. I try to see all sides of things, and social media technology, they have good attributes to it. They also can have negative attributes to it. It just depends on how people utilize it in their lives. And I just kind of want to dissect this topic together and philosophize about it. I was thinking about this topic of social media recently because as my channel is growing more and more, I've been getting a lot more business emails from other companies and brands that want to work with me and want me to integrate their products in my video somehow. And I had to kind of push myself into the realm of learning about how to deal with all of that business aspect of having a channel and having a platform. I went through a lot of these weird experiences while learning about all this stuff where everything just felt so existential and so odd because, for example, I was learning about how to write pitch emails, and one of the advice given was to summarize yourself in a sentence. And I was just like, what does that mean? Summarize myself in a sentence. And it's just like, as I was trying to summarize my whole human essence into one sentence, I was just kind of amazed. And amazed is not necessarily a positive thing, right? And this isn't just for content creators like me. Everyone nowadays is a content creator. Anyone who has social media is a content creator. You could just be an average person uploading photos on Instagram. That is still content creation. And that's the crazy thing. The whole culture behind social media and content creation has always absolutely baffled me. And I never really knew how to put my hand on that heartbeat and integrate myself and be in that conversation and language as a participant. I've always been a viewer of it, just kind of observing how it moves and how it evolves over time. Hold up, I'm gonna take my headphones out really quick. And I feel like it should be pretty normal for people around my age, give or take a few years, to have their relationship with social media fluctuate, evolve, and change. Hopefully it does. I feel like if it doesn't, that's probably a good indication that you're not growing much as a person. But I feel like I've had a lot of different relationships to social media in a sense where in middle school and high school, where social media was utilized mainly as a social presence and being tapped into your social environment, it felt like hell to me. I was so in over my head all the time. I didn't understand the equations to social media. I couldn't understand why a certain person posting a photo got 300 likes and a bunch of comments, whereas if I posted a photo, it would get 5 likes and no interaction. And then I would feel super ashamed and embarrassed and delete the photo, things like that, right? I would always try to study why certain people were received a certain way, and if I emulated that, why wasn't I received in the same ways? And I felt like social media in that aspect was another space for me to feel so confused and alienated. I felt like it wasn't until college and until I went to art school where I actually found a way to utilize social media as a means of self-expression. This kind of goes into that concept of social media is not necessarily a bad thing. It just depends on how you use it, right? I feel like social media for a lot of creative, unique, introverted people is a space in which they could interact with other people that are more like them and find ways for them to express themselves in ways that they can't necessarily do in person with people face to face. When I was in art school, there was something very interesting that I observed. For those of you who are artists and creators yourself, you probably know that art and social media go hand in hand, right? So when I was in art school, we were also very much so learning about social media the whole time. We were very much so tapped into social media and each other's social media. I noticed that every time I met someone in person in classes, I would always get a certain type of read on them, their energy and how they present themselves. As soon as I got a hold of people's social media, it's almost like this facade rose from their social media in order for me to begin perceiving. And a lot of the times that facade is not matching what I experience face to face in person. And that was a mindfuck for me because I feel like nothing can truly replace seeing someone face to face and interacting with them. I'm not saying social media can't accurately depict a person, right? In many ways, I think social media can help someone express themselves a lot better and more accurately. I definitely resonate with that as an autistic person, but at the same time, I noticed that there are people who are pretty similar to what they're posting because it's just an extension of themselves. It's how they express themselves. But there's a lot of people I met in college where their persona online was not even the same as what I saw in person. Someone could be super goofy and have all this personality in person, but online their persona was this very serious, tortured soul and just like so artsy and esoteric and shy and deep and all this stuff.
In case you haven't noticed, I'm weird. I'm a weirdo. I don't fit in, and I don't want to fit in. Have you ever seen me without this stupid hat?
And it was just so weird because I was like, who is the real them? There were so many times, like I said, where I just would shake my head when I saw someone's online persona and I would be like, I wish I didn't see this. I wish I didn't know this. I wish I could just have known them as they are in person during our interactions and that's it. And it's that simple. And it would be so weird when you would have to have a relationship with them face to face and also have a social relationship because then there's all of these other dynamics. Like this person could be very nice to me and we could have all these really cool interactions face to face, but they would be too ashamed to post me on their social media, or they wouldn't want to interact with me on social media. They wouldn't want to like my photos. They wouldn't want to follow me back because maybe the numbers were not the same, or maybe my following or my presence wasn't worth anything to their presence. You know, there's all of these other dynamics that start to come in, and it just like really confused me, right? Because I would be like, oh, I felt like me and this person are really good friends, but they only post about this person because their social media presence is a lot more worthy than my social media presence. And so no one would ever know that I was friends with this person because they wouldn't ever see me and that person interacting. And then it gets into this whole concept of like, well, why does social media and why do pictures need to express how important you are to someone? And you know, I shouldn't have to think about whether or not they're posting about me or interacting with me in order to validate my relationship with them. And likewise, I shouldn't see how they're constantly posting about this other person, even though they don't really talk or interact in real life, and take that as a sign that they're closer than they are. You know, there's just all of these weird social dynamics on social media that begins to happen that is its own thing outside of like social dynamics in person. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like that aspect of social media is something that I never understood and never knew how to assimilate into. And that's the part that I dreaded a lot. I feel like social media could be amazing when you utilize it to enrich yourself, right? In order to express yourself, in order to connect to other people that you more closely relate to, that you wouldn't necessarily meet in person. A good way to kind of gauge whether or not you're utilizing social media for healthy reasons is to check in with yourself and take note of how often you feel bad about yourself and how often you experience brain fog. I feel like a lot of the times people weave social media into their lives so deeply that it becomes almost a habit of disassociation rather than a means for connecting to yourself and checking in with yourself. There's so many times where I see people mindlessly scrolling and they're not really ingesting the content. The content's not really affecting them either. And they're not really consciously looking for certain types of content in order to enrich their own lives in any sort of way. And I'm not saying like everything you ingest has to be deep and meaningful. I'm just saying it's good to have intention behind what you want to ingest. Being able to think to yourself, I want to relax right now, so I actually want to listen to or watch stupid videos of like funny people that can make me laugh and let me relax a little bit. Or, oh, it's the morning time, I have to get my day started, so I actually really want to listen to someone talk about a lot more deeper topics in order to get my mind rolling for the day and things like that and connect to myself. I feel like once you're just ingesting social media for no reason and then you find yourself feeling numb, like a few days or a few weeks can pass and you're just like, I don't really know what has been going on lately and I don't really know how I'm feeling. And I just don't feel good. Or you're just feeling bad about yourself because you're constantly seeing people posting about the best days of their lives and the best moments, when in reality, life has a lot of slow, dull moments, you know? It's not natural to constantly be living in this high all the time. But when you're constantly watching people traveling, seeing friends, partying, going to do their hair or whatever, it makes you feel this pressure as if you're not living your best life and you feel bad about yourself for it. Once you start to feel bad about yourself and your life and what you're doing, and it's not because you're genuinely feeling that way, like, oh, I feel like lately I've been not living up to my fullest potential, I kind of want to get this started and all that stuff. It's normal to feel that, right? But if there's nothing in your life you really feel bad about, but you still feel bad about yourself, that's a pretty good indication that you might be spending too much time perceiving other people's lives, and you probably need to take a break and drop yourself back into your body and experience your life again and perceive your own experiences through your own eyes and through your own senses again. I feel like my relationship with social media has definitely been evolving and transforming in the latter half of my 20s, which has been the past few years, especially since COVID happened. Like I said, in middle school and high school, it was this whole entity that I dreaded and didn't understand, and I felt even more alienation from it. In college, it was very empowering for me to have a space to curate my own persona and have that be a way for me to express myself a lot more accurately and express myself in ways that other people can understand me a little bit better. But at the same time, I felt like during that time, I was constantly waking up and thinking about what I wanted to document in order for others to perceive. Whether that's making my coffee in the morning, how do I document this in an artsy way? Or how do I document all these little things throughout my day? I felt like, yes, that was really fun and really good for me to express myself, but at the same time, it was very tiring. It felt like there were so many moments where I just wanted to be at peace and just live my life and be in my body, be present. But then I would have to always have my hand on my phone ready to document something at a moment's notice if I saw it. I would feel really good and accomplished when I was able to document something that I thought was really cool, and then people could see my vision. Especially as an autistic person, there's a lot of times I see things and view things in which other people don't really perceive in that specific way. And so when I can actually document it on something so that other people could see it how I see it, it is very satisfying. But at the same time, it's just a lot of pressure to put on yourself. And it takes you out of your own experience, and it makes you not necessarily present, fully present. And I feel like since COVID happened and life continued on from then, I became more and more detached from social media and utilizing social media. I haven't posted on my personal social media for years. I barely post on my story. Maybe once every few months I'll post something just so that people in my personal life can see what I've been up to. I don't really post on my business social medias either, other than YouTube. YouTube is the only consistent thing I'm posting on. But if you guys follow me on Instagram at @selfembark, I don't really post on there. I don't really post on my TikTok either. I haven't posted on my TikTok for almost a year, probably. There's times, especially now that my channel is growing and a lot more businesses are reaching out to me to work with me, there's times where I'll think to myself, I should probably utilize my Instagram more and build more of a connection on there, so that that's a part of what I offer as a content creator. But at the same time, I have to check in with myself and ask myself, do I want to have a presence on there? Do I want to utilize it? And the answer as for now is no. Like, I don't have interest in being on Instagram. I don't have interest in really keeping up to date with people. I don't have interest in having others keep up to date with me on there. On a day-to-day basis, I just want to be connected to myself, my life, my routines, and the people in my personal vicinity, right? That is all I can really handle, honestly. Like, if I were to add more to that plate, I would be very overwhelmed, and I would have to sacrifice my relationship with someone somehow. And that includes myself. A lot of the times that would mean I wouldn't connect to myself as much because I have to constantly funnel energy into my partner, my pets, other people in my hobbies, my clients, also social media. It's just a lot, and I'm not willing to do that. So honestly, if you're a sensitive person, I highly encourage you to really check in with how you funnel your energy outwards, and check in with how you funnel energy back to yourself. If you're not getting enough back, including your own attention back to yourself, look at where you need to kind of stifle that energy flow outwards and have that energy redirected back to yourself. There's been so many times where I, out of habit, will go onto my personal social media, sometimes even my business one, and I'll think, maybe I should post something, maybe something on my story. And then I think to myself, do I really want to post? No. Do I really think people care? No. Do I want people to care? No. Am I happy with this experience? Because I was able to just experience it, and it's in my mind, and I remember it, and I felt the sensations. Yeah. Do I need other people to know that? No. And then I'll literally go through that checklist in my head, and I'll just be like, exit out of the screen and then move on with my life. Who cares? Who cares what I'm doing right now? Who cares? I don't want to have people be up to date on every single thing I'm doing in my life. I don't want to encourage people to stay on their phones and keep up with people like me or other people in their lives. I want to encourage people to not be on their phone and not really feel the need to check in with others. And I feel like that's just kind of where I've been at for the past few years with Instagram and social media in general. I will say something I have also observed about social media, and this is something I very consciously create and curate on my end, is that I've made a conscious effort to, especially on my personal Instagram, filter out people that I don't know and don't have personal connection to. And so I remember I went through a day where I just removed probably 500 followers of just random people that accumulated over my lifetime. Nowadays, the only people I have on there are, old coworkers that I had pretty good connections and friendships with, people in my hobby that I see on a weekly basis, which are mostly dads and uncles. And that's what I enjoy, right? Because when I do go on social media, I actually see people that I care to keep up with. That's a good way for me to, when I want to, connect to other people and keep up to date with them. It feels a lot more genuine that way. But yeah, how many of you guys are completely baffled by social media as well? And those of you who have developed a pretty good relationship with social media, what is that relationship like, and how have you curated that relationship? And for those of you who have an unhealthy relationship to social media, I want you to be honest and share that with us in the comment section down below. Do you think you may have an unhealthy relationship with social media? Do you think you may be on it a little bit too much and use it as a means to escape or to numb yourself? If so, I want to encourage you guys to be a lot more intentional about content ingestion. Know when you want to ingest content for what reason, and know who you want to perceive in those moments, and only really perceive those people in those moments, and don't just perceive those people just to perceive it and just to get through your boredom or get through moments where you don't want to be in your own body and you're just looking to numb yourself. And last question for you guys. For those of you who routinely watch my videos, I'd be curious to know at what part of your day do you watch my videos, and what mood or intention do you have when you go to watch my videos? Like, what are you looking for, and how does it make you feel? I'd be really, really curious to get that sort of feedback. Other than that, stay present and take care of yourselves. I will see you on next week's video. Bye.